And a big breaking news has just come in a slew of actions against Pakistan post the Pahalgam terrorist attack. India has now banned 16 YouTube channels of Pakistan that were spreading communally sensitive information. The decision was made on the recommendations of the Home Ministry. We have been given to understand that the banned YouTube channels of news outlets include Dawn, Samaa TV, ARY News, Bol News, Raftar, Geo News and Suno News. YouTube channels of journalists Irshad Bhatti, Asma Shirazi, Umar Shima and Munib Farooq have also been banned. Other handles that have been banned include the Pakistan Reference, Samaa Sports, Uzair Cricket and Razi Nama. Cricketer Shoaib Akhtar's 100 mph is also amongst the Pakistani YouTube channels which have now been banned here in India. Flashing on your screens, currently the list of those channels who have been struck down by India here for spreading misinformation. A heavy crackdown by the Indian government. Accusations are that these YouTube channels have been disseminating provocative and communally sensitive content, false and misleading narratives and misinformation against India, its army and also the security agencies. In another development, we have been given to understand that the government has also returned to the BBC over its Jammu and Kashmir reportage. The External Publicity and Public Diplomacy or XPD division of the Ministry of External Affairs has conveyed the country's strong sentiments to Jackie Martin, India head of BBC, regarding their reporting on the Pahalgam terror attack. A formal letter has now been written to BBC after it termed terrorists as militants in their reports. XPD will now be monitoring the further reporting of BBC on the same. First up, I would like your opening statement on this particular development coming in, because we know in today's era, internet does play a major role, specifically when it comes to the angle of misinformation. Now this crackdown has happened that around 16 YouTube channels have been struck down by Indian government for spreading misinformation about our country. How do you feel about it?
I think a welcome step. It was required long back, because Pakistan will continue to spread false information. Pakistan has all along been, even in connivance with China, been telling the world that they are the victims of terrorism. In fact, they're the perpetrators of terrorism. And the world knows what they are all about. The entire world stands with India. But you know how Pakistan is, will continue to spread false propaganda. I think so much better that all their TV channels, all their YouTube channels must be banned for good. And let Pakistan, in fact, Pakistan should be ignored if you ask me. It's a country which should not be even thought of, other than wanting to take strict action against them at places and time of our choosing, rather than interact with a country which doesn't seem to feel the rule of law. Not now, we've seen them do this since their independence. So I think the government has taken the right step in banning all of it.
Right. But also, General Kulkarni, if I could ask you about couple of terminologies that the Western media has been using about this particular Pahalgam terrorist attack. They have been calling the terrorists as militants, not specifically BBC. I'm also talking about some of the other publications. They have been calling our Kashmir as India occupied Kashmir or India illegally occupied Kashmir. How do we give them a an example and a stringent word coming in from our government that these terminologies are not sitting fine with us?
Definitely. Look, either they are unaware the difference between a militant and a terrorist. This is not a problem of insurgency. This is sheer terrorism, and which Pakistan has always been using terrorism as an instrument of state policy. So one must be very clear. And there are certain Western countries definitely inclined towards Pakistan and not wanting to understand, because they don't want to understand. It's not that they don't understand, they don't want to understand. And BBC is one amongst them. And Britain has all along been kind of a supporter of Pakistan for, many decades, and now suffers from it. But then that's the way it is. They don't seem to understand that these are not gunmen, these are not people, these are all people, terrorists, sponsored by Pakistan to create mayhem in India. And of course, they're taking advantage of the OGWs within the country. But they don't seem to be telling or portraying or correctly reporting the whole thing, that there is so much of freedom, there's so much of tourism, tourist activities that are taking place, so much of things have changed, and people themselves want this kind of a development. And then what's exactly happening in Pak-occupied Kashmir, how people there are opposing the government, how are they reacting, what is the kind of, if you see, sometimes you hear they would much like a leader like Mr. Modi to be leading them, because they find that someone like that will take their backwardness to somewhat to a level where they would feel proud of a country of theirs. Nothing like that is happening. But I think the Western media is definitely biased. It doesn't seem to be reporting correctly. And even America, I'm sorry to say, even America did till 9/11. They probably didn't realize it. And there were countries even like Pakistan and so many of them saying good terrorists and bad terrorists and things of those kinds. It's only when Lashkar-e-Taiba hit America, they realized it, that yes, India is actually a victim of terrorism, and India has been stating so in no uncertain terms. But Western media, even till date, has been biased and seems to be probably favoring Pakistan and wanting to show that no, there is a dispute. There is no dispute. What dispute are we talking about? The UN thing is over long back. The Simla agreement was there. If Simla agreement is abrogated or held in abeyance or suspended by Pakistan, so be it. It doesn't matter. If Pakistan doesn't want to settle the things bilaterally, they can go wherever they wish to. It doesn't really make any difference whatsoever. But then the Western media must understand. I don't think much that they understand. They don't want to understand. And if that be so, they are themselves a victim of terror. And, after all, like what Mrs. Clinton would be saying time and again, that if you have snakes in your backyard and expecting only your friend, that they would go bite your friend, forget it. They'll one day turn around and bite you. So if that is not understood by people, then so be it. But yes, Western media is a little biased. It doesn't seem to understand that this is a terror attack and not gunmen, or not on people, and they didn't know what about it. I don't think it's wrong. And the Western media must learn to report correctly of the situation on ground.